The first person is Jamal. Ben is the director of Palestine Solidarity Campaign and one of the 70 plus the charge for raising the voice, giving voice to those who don't have voice, and this is the fundamental problem that we are facing. What's happening on the streets of London? They are trying to restrict us, but they're not going to stop us. So Ben, over to you.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. I'm not going to go into detail about all of the events of January the 18th, for reasons I'm sure you'll understand, but most of you, I think, will know what happened, and if not, if you go on to PSC social media, see the statement that the coalition of repression by this state against our solidarity movement. In relation to the national protest, from the beginning of organising these demonstrations 16 months ago now, we've seen a routine usage of the Public Order Act to impose conditions upon our right to march. But the conditions imposed in the first place to ban our march to the BBC on that day on spurious grounds, and then the actions of the police when we assembled in Whitehall represented, as I say, a severe escalation in the police's repressive actions. On that day, in my view, there's not a particular insight in this. It was very transparent. What the police were trying to do was provoke scenes of disorder on the streets of London. Those of you who were there will know they began arresting people very early in the day, many for the crime of standing on the wrong bit of the pavement in Whitehall. They brought police from across the country, from 8 forces across the country. They brought 3 large empty coaches to transport those they intended to arrest to police stations, despite the fact that the rate of arrest at every single demonstration has been very low, a handful at any demonstration. They wanted to create scenes of violence, scenes of disorder that would create a political climate that would enable the Home Secretary to go into Parliament on the Monday to announce she was going to take action to ban all future marches. They did not succeed, and the reason that they did not succeed is, despite all the lies, the reality is that this is a peaceful and disciplined movement founded on principles of justice and anti-racism, and that the people that day, even in the face of the most extraordinary provocation, maintained those principles and that discipline. And I send from this meeting my solidarity and salute to everyone who was unjustly arrested and charged as a result of January the 18th. So what happened that day is of course of concern to all of us in the solidarity movement. It should be of concern, it is of concern to anybody who cares about core democratic freedoms and the right to protest. This is something that should be understood in the context of the wider, broader crackdown on our democratic rights initiated by the previous Conservative government, but now being vigorously and enthusiastically implemented and extended in usage by Keir Starmer. So it's a matter that should be of concern for anybody who wants to engage in any sort of protest on any issue of social justice. But I'm the director of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, and the bringing of charges against me, against Chris, should be understood in the context of a decades-long effort to delegitimise and suppress the solidarity movement, not just here in the UK, but globally, through narratives of anti-Semitism, through narratives of support for terrorism, and through that prism, through the narrative of being a threat to public order. But we have to remember what is at the heart of that is a deeper effort to silence and to isolate the Palestinian people, to delegitimize their struggle for freedom so that Israel is allowed, with impunity, to continue its regime of Jewish supremacy. So we do not and we will not lose sight of the reasons that have brought so many millions onto the streets in solidarity. We do not lose sight of what the Palestinian people are confronting right now. You saw the response of our movement to the events of January the 18th, but also to the situation the Palestinian people are facing last Saturday, where 175,000 people marched again. They came, as I said from the stage, in awe at the resilience and the endurance of the Palestinian people, manifested in those extraordinary images we have all witnessed, of hundreds of thousands of people marching unbound, back straight, holding the hands of their loved ones back towards their homes or what remains of their homes. We gathered on Saturday, sharing their trepidation that the ceasefire would not last. Already we have Netanyahu telling the world it's temporary. It's an opportunity for Israel to rearm with newly shipped £2,000 bombs, freshly arrived from the United States. And we came to acknowledge some fundamental truths. Firstly, that even if this ceasefire holds, the genocide in Gaza is not ended. More Palestinians, many more Palestinians will die from the injuries and the trauma they have already suffered, and their lack of access to services. Gaza's welfare systems and hospitals lie in ruins. But as figures across the political establishment, including, shamefully, the Mayor of London, tell us, the Solidarity Movement, that there's no more reason for us to march, that with a ceasefire, this is the moment for us all to go back to our homes and stop disrupting the people of London. We gathered to reassert two fundamental truths that we have been proclaiming from every public platform over the last 16 months. Firstly, that this genocide is built on the foundations of 76 years of oppression of the Palestinian people, 76 years of colonisation, apartheid, military occupation, a system of oppression that is continuing and being ramped up all across historic Palestine right now, particularly in the West Bank. In the past few weeks, what have we also seen? We've seen the mask finally slipping as the President of the US has made clear that it is now official US policy to endorse a plan promoted across the Israeli political establishment for months, the mass ethnic cleansing of millions of Palestinians from Gaza and potentially from the West Bank to Jordan, to Egypt, to the desert, wherever. So here is the second truth that we have been asserting from every public platform, that this incremental genocide that has been going on for decades, this current full-blown genocide, this program of ethnic cleansing and colonisation could not be sustained without the complicit support of government, public bodies, companies and corporations, including all of those in the UK. So yes, we are going to defend our right to protest. Chris and I will fight vigorously every charge laid against us. Chris has already won the first victory in his case, getting the conditions, the unjust conditions imposed upon him lifted when he attended court last week. We will not be silenced, but nor will we be distracted from our fundamental purpose to act to end all of that UK complicity. This is not the moment to demobilise. This is the moment to escalate every single one of our actions. And we do that empowered by the hope that is the wellspring of solidarity, a belief that the arc of history does bend towards justice if we all collectively lean our weight upon it, a hope nourished by the spirit of the Palestinian people manifested in that march home, a harbinger of the day where every Palestinian scattered across the globe will return to their homeland, and a hope nourished by the recognition that despite its overwhelming military force, despite the rhetoric of the US President, the last 16 months will mark a turning point in the struggle for justice. Israel is increasingly isolated, on trial at the world's highest court for the crime of genocide, its leader a fugitive from justice. From the eye, we are ramping up important divestment victories. Last night, we had the 7th council in the last 6 months commit, North Somerset Council, committing to calling on Avon Pension Fund to divest all of its funds from complicit companies, and I salute every single one of you here who was part of the campaign in Tower Hamlets that made your local council one of those 7 councils committed to divestment. So we do not stop, we never stop, until every brick in the wall of apartheid that oppresses and imprisons the Palestinian people is finally crumbled into the dust, until every Palestinian scattered across the globe is able to return to the homeland, and in every inch of that homeland is finally living in freedom. We defend our right to protest, and we carry on protesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, for your speech. Our next speaker is Yasmin Adam. Yasmin is from Muslim Association of Britain and one of the organizers